Welcome back. Today I've brought the chapter Weathering the Storm in Ersama, a quick visual summary with title, theme, character sketch, and self evaluation test of 45 questions that you will get nowhere but on my channel, English for All Reasons Good, based on the CBSE guidelines and syllabus. So before moving on, do subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. Now, let's get started. The summary Weathering the Storm in Ersama is a story of selfless act of compassion and conviction. This is our hero, Prashant, a 19-year-old boy who is a hero in true sense and in all terms. So, Prashant, he was visiting his friend's family on 27th October 1999. It was 7 years after his mother's death at block headquarters of Ersama, a small town in coastal Orissa, 18 kilometers from his village. So, at his friend's place, he was spending the day when, in the evening, suddenly dark clouds gathered, and people they were caught unalarmed and unprepared. So, Prashant had never witnessed such a fury of the storm. Heavy and incessant rains filled the darkness, and trees they were uprooted. The speed of the wind it was very high. Screams rent the house everywhere, and waters they started rising. So, because of the rising waters, the family, Prashant and the family of his friends, they had to take refuge on a rooftop. So, cold terror of the family grew when trees, the surrounding trees that were growing around, they started crashing on their house. So the crazed destruction wrought by the cyclone carried on for 36 hours. In the morning, when Prashant had first glimpse of the devastation wrought by the super cyclone, he was shocked. A raging, deadly brown sheet of water covered everything. There were fractured cement houses, bloated animal carcasses, and even human corpses floated in every direction. Two coconut trees they had crashed on their roof, and that proved to be a blessing in disguise for them because the tender coconuts of the trees kept the trapped family from starving for several days that followed. Waters after 2 days started receding, but it was still dangerous, and Prashant decided to go back to his village. So waters they were receding. Prashant, who feared that he might lose someone else in his family, he decided that he should now go back to his village. His friend's family pleaded that he should wait for a little while longer, but Prashant he had decided that he would go now. So he equipped himself with a long sturdy stick and then started on an 18-kilometer expedition. So it was not an easy journey. He used his stick to locate the road to determine where the water was not shallow, and at places the water was waist deep, and at some places he even had to swim. So he was relieved after walking for some time, when he found his friends of his uncle who were also returning to the village. So together they started, and on the way, the scenes were very disturbing. They had to push away many human bodies, men, women, children, even carcasses of cattle, as you can see here, and dogs and goats. So as they were passing through every village, the scene was same, and Prashant he wept loud and long, seeing all this devastation, because gripped him that he might have lost someone in his family, in his village. So eventually, as he reached his village, his heart went cold to see the scene in his village too. It was total destruction there also. So at the place where his house stood once, now there were only remnants of its roof. So some of his belongings they were caught and mangled and twisted in the branches of the trees. Prashant he decided that he should go to the Red Cross shelter to look for his family. So he reaches the Red Cross shelter there, and among the first few people he found his maternal grandmother, who rushed towards him. So she was weak with hunger, her eyes brimming. It was a miracle. They had thought that they have lost Prashant in the cyclone. So it was a miracle for them to see Prashant there. Now quickly Prashant also he scanned the shelter and he realized that 2,500 grief-stricken people were there in the shelter. 86 lives they were lost in his village. All the 96 houses they were washed away. So he knew that he had to do a lot of work now. So he organized a group of youths and elders and he decided to arrange for food. The first thing he decided that he should do was to arrange for food. So for the first time in 4 days, the survivors they were able to fill their bellies. So he had gathered the youth, they went to the merchant and they pressurized the merchant to part with his rice. So like this, in 4 days, in the first 4 days, the survivors they were able to fill their bellies. Now, next he organized volunteers to clean the shelter. So, next important thing was the hygiene, the keeping care of the hygiene in the shelter. So, like this, he started to take charge of the people there, and he decided that if no one else is coming forward, then he had to do it. On the fifth day, a military helicopter airdropped food parcels, but after that, the helicopter did not return. So, what Prashant did, he deputed children to lie in the sand with empty utensils on their stomachs as a signal to the passing helicopters that they were hungry. So, this worked and the helicopters they returned at regular intervals and they airdropped food and other items of basic needs. So like this Prashant then decided that he would divide the work among groups so that everyone in the community is involved and they help each other before any kind of government aid arrives. He then recognized that children and women they were sinking deep into grief. So he encouraged women to start working with a food for work program started by an NGO. And for children, he organized cricket matches. So, like this, he worked to bring smiles on the faces of the children and the women there who were sinking deeper and deeper into grief. He successfully resisted the initial government plan to set up institutions for orphans and widows. He felt that in these institutions, children they would grow without love and widows they would suffer from stigma and loneliness. So he believed that children should be resettled in their own community, in new foster families, maybe with those who have lost their children or widows, they can adopt the orphaned children. So Prashant, with such a belief, with an open mind, he decided for his people and he decided for their good. So 6 months after the devastation, Prashant's wounded spirit has healed simply because he had no time to think about his own pain. People of his village they still look up to him in their darkest hour of grief. So he emerged as a true hero. It is rightly said that real leaders they are born at the time of adversity. So this is the short summary of the chapter. I hope you've understood. And now we move on to the title. So, title, the important word to understand in the title is weathering. So, weathering means to deal with a difficult situation without being harmed or damaged too much. So, from here, the title becomes clear. The story, Weathering the Storm in Ersama by Harsh Mandir, deals with Prashant overcoming the obstacles wrought by the cyclone. He triumphantly handles the situation both physically as well as emotionally. He perseveres and leads the people of his village out of the devastation caused by the storm. Thus, the title of the story is apt. So, weathering means to deal with a difficult situation. So, Prashant, he dealt with the situation in two ways, physically as well as emotionally. So he was emotionally strong, he overcame his emotions, and he fought for the people. And physically, obviously, when he arranged for things, when he utilized the resources, so that was on the physical scale, he was fighting the storm. So the title is very apt. Now comes the theme. Weathering the Storm in Ersama is a story of devastation wrought by cyclone in coastal Orissa 1999 and how a young boy Prashant takes responsibility. So, It is the story of the devastation and Prashant's taking responsibility to bring life of the people back on track in his village, where all 96 houses they are washed away and 2,500 people are rendered homeless. The story revolves around the theme that one must face obstacles head on. So this is the basic theme, that you must face and fight. One should have the courage to stand and tackle the problem. When the destruction happens on a large scale, one cannot handle the situation single handedly. Community participation becomes paramount under such conditions. So, this is the second theme, community participation. So, in the story, the author brings out the importance of mobilization of community resources in a very effective way. Through Prashant, the author reinforces the idea that self help is the greatest asset. So, in case Prashant had also sat down like other people waiting for the government aid, then the there had been more injuries, there had been much more devastation, much more people would have died because of hunger. So it was because of Prashant's thinking, his intelligence, that he was able to save the survivors. So Prashant, though a young boy of 19, is quick to realize that he must organize people to help each other. Although he himself is going through an emotional upheaval, he gets a grip over himself and steps in as a leader. So before the government aid arrives, he is able to deal with major emotional and psychological setbacks. He emerges as a true guide for his people. So the two important themes are that we should fight with obstacles, with the problems that are coming in front of us, and we should face them head on. And the second thing is community participation. If we come together, we can solve any problem. Self help is the greatest asset. Now, character sketch of Prashant. So, Prashant is the main character of the story, Weathering the Storm in Ersama, written by Harsh Mandir. He is a handsome young boy of 19 who epitomizes compassion, kindness, and courage in the most trying times. 7 years before this devastating cyclone, he had lost his mother, which was a great emotional setback for him. As he witnesses the fury of the storm, stuck on the rooftop with his friend's family, he fears losing someone else from his family. He remains patient for 2 days and waits for rainwaters to recede before setting out to his village. Braving the odds, he reaches his village and takes a glimpse of the destruction caused by the cyclone. With his good judgment, he soon realizes that he has to do something for the people of his village. He is strong enough to get a grip over himself and steps in as a leader. He organizes people into groups and assigns different responsibilities to them. He is intelligent enough to depute children to lie in the sand with empty utensils on their stomachs to signal the passing helicopters that they are hungry. Because of his optimistic attitude, things start to fall in place. Soon he recognizes ensuing hopelessness among widows and orphans in the shelter. He encourages widows to engage themselves with an NGO and arranges sports events for the children. He is empathetic towards the feelings of the people and therefore successfully resists the plan of the government to set up institutions for orphans and widows, which he feels would add to their woes. He thus emerges as a strong pillar for his people who seek him the most in their darkest hour of grief. So, this is the character sketch, and of course, this character sketch, I have arranged the character sketch on this acronym STREAM. I have told you already how to write a character sketch based on this acronym in my previous videos of character sketches. So, S, it is what the character says or what the character feels. So in this uh, character sketch of Prashant, so what Prashant is feeling, what he is saying actually, it is not in the dialogue form, but when he is arranging things, when he is organizing things, when he is telling the women to go and engage themselves with an NGO. So all this is, he is doing these things for them. Then T is for traits. So traits, I have discussed many traits like compassion, kindness, courage, braving the odds. He's brave, he has good judgment, then he's strong enough, he comes out as a leader, he's intelligent, he's empathetic. So all these are the character traits. Then comes R From R, we have what is his role here or what is his relationship. So he is the leader for the people and his role is to organize them. So it is also there in this character sketch. From E, we have effect. So effect, he affects all his surroundings. He brings all the people together and he arranges and organizes them into one whole to fight the situation. Then comes appearance and action. So this whole character sketch is action based because all things are happening here. And appearance, we only know that he is a young handsome boy of 19 years. And M is mind, what is going on in his mind. At one point he has come out of a great emotional setback, but then he braves the odds, he gets grip over himself, he controls his emotions, but at some point of time he also fears losing someone from his family. So all this has I have covered in the character sketch, so that means the character sketch is complete in all terms. Now, if you haven't watched that video, how to write the character sketch, you can go back. I'll give the link in the description box and you can learn how to write character sketch based on this acronym. Now, next we come to the self-evaluation test of the chapter. Weathering the Storm in Ersama, there are 45 questions. So I won't be reading the questions as usual, but I'll be stopping for a while at every slide so that you can attempt the questions. In red, you can see these are the marks and these are the page numbers. So these questions, answers for these questions you will find on page number 37. So first you can attempt these questions. I'll be posting the answers after 2 days and then you can check your answers. So I'll suggest that you read the chapter, you prepare the chapter and then attempt these questions and not straight away go for answers, because only then you'll come to know whether your chapter is prepared or not. If you are able to answer these 45 questions, of course, your chapters is prepared for your finals. So you can pause at any slide you want and you can answer the questions and then move on. All the page numbers are there, so you won't have any difficulty to find the answers in case you're not able to answer any question. So these are the long questions, 5 marks questions, 2 questions, and the answers for these 2 questions, the answers will be the same. The only difference will be that how you express yourselves, how you write the answer for each question, that will be different. Otherwise, the answers, it is almost going to be the same. So that's all for today. I hope that you like it and you subscribe for my channel. Give it a thumbs up. Do tell me in the comment box how helpful did you find it and share it with your friends, with maximum number of your friends. In the playlist, you will find other videos of class 9th. You can go and check them. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram where I keep on uploading what is going to be my next video. I'll give the link in the description box. So bye for now. Attempt the self-evaluation test before looking for answers. 45 questions will prepare your chapter completely. Thank you so much.